And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please welcome to the ice the members of the 2016 NCAA National Champions from the University of North Dakota.
Welcome back to the Has-Beens, presented by 10K Takes. We are joined today by a very special guest, Clint Lewis. Clint, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's going to be a good night here.
Good to have you, Clinty.
It's always good to have friends around a table talking, just having a good time. You know, before we get started, I do want to mention again, we've got our shipment in from the Chill Boys. As you can see, people watching the video here, we've got the Chill Boys up here. Finally got the shipment. I'm wearing a pair right now. I mean, they are soft, ladies and gentlemen. They're great. It's the only underwear I'm going to wear from now on, I think.
I can't wait to, I'm totally looking forward to slide into these probably tonight when I crawl into bed. Clint, obviously, you'll get a little $50 gift card at the end of this.
Thanks, guys. I already got a couple pairs. You're not too bad.
Oh, all right. I love it.
Clint's already wearing them.
They're all chill out there today.
I love it.
Yeah. But so anyways, we'll get into who Clint is later. You know, he is also a has-been now.
Proud of it as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're all
place to be.
It's way, mentally, it's, I call those hockey players who are still playing our friends. They are kind of psychos. Like we live a much better life and they're going home, their mental capacity, just stressed about the next game and the next practice. And we just get to go home and not worry about it. It's great.
Drink a little Mark West, Pinot Noir, a little sugar.
Drink a little Mark West Pinot Noir on a Wednesday, having a good time with some friends here. Getting, are these hockey players? I know the minor league guys, they're not getting sponsorships like we are. Are you kidding? But anyways, we've got a good show coming up. We'll get into Clint later. He's got a good career. He's played with some good players. Had a quite an interesting path in hockey. But I do want to kind of get into our predictions on the upcoming slate of college hockey. I picked my 4 favorite games, my Mount Rushmore of games this weekend. The first one, North Dakota heads to Lawson. They're playing the Western Michigan Broncos. Thank God Goffer's not here this week because we don't want to hear his take on that. But what's our predictions there? Going into a tough arena, UND's underdogs. I'm going to come out and say I'm looking for a split. We split on the road. I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't know where Western's at this year in terms of rankings, but going into Lawson anytime, the Lunatics are pretty wild there. They have a good time. I mean, going into its home building's pretty crazy. Theirs especially, but a split is probably pretty reasonable outcome, I would say. Obviously, the more favored team is going to be North Dakota, but who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been on Western the entire year. I love the way they play. I'm going to North Dakota sweep over Western.
Let's go. I was hoping you'd say that.
And I just believe that this is like a make or break weekend. A split is awesome, like you guys said. Really sweet. But they haven't been playing their best. They get 2 games out of Western. They beat Quinnipiac, 1-1 out there earlier. Yeah. I think this solidifies them in the long haul if they don't, hiccup. So I'm going bold. And North Dakota sweep.
Do we know, Clint doesn't know, but do we know if Sanderson's still in town or is he gone for the Olympics? He's got to be gone, right?
I don't think he is yet. I don't know. I don't know for a fact.
That'll play a pretty big factor because if they got their random call-ups, not going to go well. And you're going to have more guys in that. How many guys are on the Olympic team at NODAC?
Only one.
Just one.
Okay.
But he's
a stud.
He's like the best player in college hockey, so it's a big loss.
Gage has a crush.
He does. I also just a big fan of number 26 Sanderson.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Dusky. Hey, has been.
Dusky's the real
We might have to break
Sanderson,
break out the old leather jackets on here later.
Oh, I'm waiting until we get a gopher on here, and I'm pulling out the Letterman.
Yeah, love that.
You know, I'm putting on the Letterman. I'm flaunting that shit right in front of the gopher's face. Even though, I mean, what was my record against him in my career? I think it was like 0-2-1. Not great, but oh well. We'll get past that. We'll move on to the next game. I don't think this one's tough to predict, so I kind of just want to predict the score. And this is Clint's alma mater. Mankato's coming to town. They're playing St. Thomas on Thursday today, and then they're going to Mankato and playing Hockey Day Minnesota. Obviously, St. Thomas first year, not that great. So let's just predict scores. I'm going to say, I'm going to combine the two scores over the weekend, and I'm going to say the Mavericks put up 2 touchdowns, 14 goals on the weekend.
Oh boy,
Peter,
I'm so sorry.
And I love Thummer. I love Peter Tome. Great guy. Mankato's great this year. I don't know what you're going to do about that, but what do you guys, 14 too much for you guys? You don't?
I think that's pretty reasonable. Once again, with the USA Olympic thing coming up here, I know Hastings is going to be the assistant there. If Hastings is still in town, that guy's an animal. He's probably not going to have him let up at all. He's probably just going to run it up. Yeah. But if Hastings is out of town and you've got the assistants in there, they might be a little easier. They might look to develop the younger kids.
Yeah.
Maybe the less, skilled ones.
For sure.
And they might get them out there on the ice, and therefore the score might not be as high. But if Hastings is in town, easily 2 touchdowns.
Okay. That's a fair point. I'm going to go with a 4-1 victory one night.
At St. Thomas that first night?
At St. Thomas, 4-1. Yeah. Peter's going to stand on his head. And then the second night, it's going to be 8-0.
Now, do we know? I feel bad because I like Rico. I like these St. Thomas guys. Like I love Thummer, but it's just, it is what it is. We're trying to be honest here.
Yeah, we're not biased.
No.
It seems biased because I picked the Sioux to win too. But I'm Solar Bears now.
Yeah, you're. I didn't even know you played college. I just thought you were a Solar Bear for
skipped.
life.
Yeah, I skipped. I went high school straight to the Solar Bears.
What a route.
Oh, yeah.
High school to the coast. Straight to the cheese toast.
Yeah. Just choose the path less traveled by and you'll find yourself in a good spot.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so next, one of my favorite matchups in college hockey, actually, Denver versus CC. So, while I've been of age to pay attention to college hockey, Colorado College hasn't been that great. It's tough for them. They have an art school and stuff. It's tough for them to get recruits. Really nice arena, nice venue and everything, but they're never really as good as Denver. But for whatever reason, Denver's always a powerhouse. They always have tough battles. Like it's always a split, or I don't know what they play for. That they play for that like Golden Pan up in Colorado or whatever. I don't know. I think Denver's rolling right now, but I'm just gonna say it's gonna be a split because they always kind of split between those two teams. There's something that goes on there. In-state rivals. I'm gonna say split.
Clinty, what are you thinking? You want me to go?
Yeah, I'll let you go on this one first. I
okay.
Gotta digest a little more information before I decide.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess you're not a total part of the NCHC, the new package or whatever, but Denver versus CC. God, CC has they've had some great players. They've had some fucking great players, but their teams just haven't really been there, and it feels like they'll put up goals, but their D zone, everything, their PK just never very good. And so but again, you say, Denver and them play close games and they always have. I'm going to go Denver sweep. Like you said, they're rolling.
I like that pick.
CC is close. Maybe in a few years, but I think Denver has a sweep.
Yeah, my take on this is going to be a comparison between Mankato and Bemidji.
Yeah.
It's the in-state rivalry in your division, right? Your conference.
Yep.
Mankato's obviously historically the better team when they show up. Bemidji not so much, pretty simple game. But they always show up to play, right? Because they're playing the team that's better than them.
Every time.
So CC is going to be doing the same thing with Denver. And as much as I want to say CC is going to win both, I don't think it's realistic. So I have to agree with Gage, and they're going to get one of the nights.
Yeah.
It'll be a split.
I like that.
Fair enough.
And then finally, probably the most interesting, I don't know, I like this matchup. It's interesting. You know, Minnesota loses their goaltender, which we covered last weekend, LaFontaine. But Michigan's coming to town. They're playing the Gophers. Again, Michigan has guys going to the Olympics too. I don't know if they're going to be gone, but and so does Minnesota. So both their seasons are kind of in jeopardy here a little bit, just with those guys leaving, their best players leaving. But Michigan coming to Minnesota after Minnesota just split with Alaska at home. I'm gonna go Michigan sweep.
Really?
Sorry, Gophers. Suck it. I hate Michigan though. I don't like Michigan. I love some Michigan. You know, some old time Michigan players. Really good friends with them, but fuck them.
Yeah, we only played Michigan one time, right?
Yeah, how'd that go?
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Son of a gun. I just missed out. Gosh. I'm going split. I think Minnesota grabs one this weekend. I think, you know, things haven't really gone their way. Sorry, Jack reached out to me, told me to talk into the mic, so I'm shoving this thing up my...
Get your mouth to the mic.
I just think, I think Minnesota's been struggling. I think they grab one game against Michigan at home.
Okay, well, I'm sick of agreeing with both of you, so I'm just, as tough as it is to say, I'm going to have the Gophers win both games.
Wow.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason being, it's going to be the battle of the U of M. Okay.
Yeah.
They can't let the other U of M come into their state and take it, even though they're going to be playing in Mariucci with 85 fans. There's no way they let them do it. They just can't.
But honestly, what is going on with the Gopher program and their fans? Is it because of the WCHA disbanding?
I think that has a little bit of it. I think that has some factor for sure. Like, I know a lot of Gopher fans, they liked, and so did I. You know, the old WCHA. You had the Minnesota, Wisconsin.
That's the root of the problem.
Yes.
It is. You had the Minnesota, Wisconsin. You had Mankato in the league. You know, you had all the in-state. I mean, Bemidji was even in there, and then you had North Dakota and Denver, and all those matchups meant a lot to people. And I think these Big Ten matchups are a little different. I also have one other reason. Their football team never used to be this good. Minnesota's never had a football team that was relevant, and now like they're big time.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that has a little bit to do. Like, people are just like, you know, is this a football school now? I don't know, but you know, I think historically it's always been a hockey school, and now you've got the football team is kind of almost a bigger deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably close. It's probably still pretty cool walking around that campus in Dinkytown as a hockey player, but it's probably around the same level if you're a football player, especially quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got over that. We'll run over that next week on the episode. See who was right, see who was wrong.
We should look back at our old predictions too. Yeah. I feel like we just kind of left those.
We just left those hanging.
Yeah.
I think I was right on all of them, though, so we don't even have to go back and look at it. But we'll move on from that slate. We'll go into the NHL a little bit. There's always some drama going on in the NHL. It's kind of fun. I wanted to bring up this Brad Marchand scenario. So Vincent Trocheck, he plays for the Carolina Hurricanes. He gets compared by a reporter. He's like, do you think you play like Brad Marchand? And he says, are you calling me a rat? So Marchand sees this and comes back with, it was an Instagram post, I believe. He posts all the stats of himself and Trocheck, and he says, that's like comparing a Lamborghini to a Prius. And then Boston plays Carolina, and Carolina wins 7-1, and Carolina's Twitter account tweets out, L is for Lamborghini. And Marchand responds, you're the reason all the players still pay 20% escrow. And for the listeners who don't know what escrow is, in the NHL, the players have to pay an escrow tax, which funds the teams that don't make money. So like Carolina, the Panthers, the Coyotes, probably Buffalo some years. There's some of those teams that don't, they fly in the red all year, and then that escrow kind of divvies up all the money in the league and gives those owners some money so they're able to keep the team. But that's a pretty funny comment because he's like, you're the reason why we're paying escrow, buddy. Like, fuck you. I like that comment. Marchand's, he's always got some entertainment for us. And I'm going to miss him when he's out of the league. I mean, he is a rat, but you almost got to respect the guy as well. I mean, he's got a cup, and he's, I think in the last 10 years in the NHL, there's a list of, the top 10 points in the NHL in the last 10 years, and Brad Marchand's number 4. So you probably wouldn't guess that, but he is an elite player. And then I wanted to bring up Leon Draisaitl as well, and I wanted to ask you guys your thoughts. So Leon Draisaitl gets asked by a reporter a question, why have you guys been playing so bad? And he's like, I don't know, we're playing bad. And the reporter's like, why are you all so pissy all the time? Why don't you answer my question? And they kind of get into it. And I want to know, your guys' perspective on when a reporter asks you a question like that and you give them, who's in the right here? I think these reporters have a job to do, and they're supposed to ask those questions. That's their job. They need articles to write. They need, viewers and people reading their stuff. You got to ask those questions, but it's also that's almost a question for a head coach or a GM, you don't ask a player that because obviously the player's going to be pissed.
Yeah. Well, I'll start one with, I haven't been in too many interviews and probably not really players. So I don't really get, after the game or in between periods and stand on the bench. Doesn't really happen too often. Didn't used to. But one thing I will say is the reporter, should be digging for the information. Totally understand they're trying to do their job. And unfortunately for him, he's there. He's got to answer these shit questions. I think wording it differently. I don't know exactly how she worded it, but more so of not a negative terminology like, why are you guys losing? Maybe, what do you guys need to do to start winning? You're going to get the same answer, right? Yeah. But in a different approach.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a very good point. Like Clint, especially at the college rank until I was...
Well, let's just stop, and we're probably all pretty similar skill level back in the day, but something about Gage with a C at North Dakota...
For 2 years.
Running around that area.
for 2 years.
Yeah. That's why he got his interviews. Not because he's good.
Oh, no. They were never asking about my game.
Not because he was good.
And it was the funniest part, when I was at North Dakota and you do end up wearing a letter at a school, that's when you do more interviews and stuff. And typically, the captains on the team and the players do all the interviews. And I never did an interview after we won a game, if we won a game and we swept the team or whatever, they would never ask me to do an interview. It was only when we lost because they knew I'd just be like, didn't get pucks deep, the standard hockey player interview, didn't get pucks deep, we just got to get back to doing the right things, our systems, just playing the right way, I just give that stereotypical answer. I don't know why they keep asking me after every loss. It's like I give you the same answer every time, I'm not going to say well, actually, on Thursday we kind of, took them lightly and we all went out to drink at the bars and shit. We lost that one. It was tough, but probably shouldn't have done that.
to that point though, that's where I think the reporter is kind of in the okay because every answer in hockey is the same.
It is.
You think of the questions asked after periods, what did you guys do right? Well, we, hit bang bodies. We got pucks deep. We played our game. It's always the same conversation. So I appreciate that reporter kind of digging deeper. And truthfully, I was going to add on to my point before. I didn't have a lot of interviews until I was dubbed mayor of Grand Forks. that is a real thing. Look it up. The mayor. That's when Travie got a little hot. He got a little hot as a third line guy. He started scoring some goals. All of a sudden, the interviews started coming in. But I actually liked it because I wasn't scared to speak my mind, and I feel like there can be more genuine answers in the hockey world where it's like, hey, even you look at Cooper Kupp. Did you guys see his interview when he caught that touchdown?
He's unreal.
He's unbelievable. But he was
almost talks like a scientist, though, because you can't even understand what he's referring to because he's so smart at the game of football. Yeah.
But everybody blew up at it. They're like, this response was so detailed. And, how he was reading the defense and what he was going to do off that. That's where I think hockey interviews could get better. Yeah. It's like... we tried to draw guys in so we could ship it off the boards and we'd have our support coming through, whatever it might be. I just think that's an interesting thing to think about.
It is. And there are certain guys you just have on teams, like, you can't really explain why, but whenever they get in an interview, they're just unreal. Like, for example, Troy Stetcher, when he gets in an interview, it's just like insane how good he is at it. And like, he gives the best answers and like goes into detail on the stuff. And he's just witty, like with his comments. And I just don't like, there's some guys that are like that, like they just get behind the mic and they just start slinging those words. And
it sounds the other side. Yeah. The opposite.
And then you got the other side.
Yeah.
It's just as good.
Do you have a name to throw out? Do you have anybody to throw under the bus?
Right now, but I don't want to.
I'm going to go Paul Ledoux. I love you, Paul. I love you, Paul.
I can attest to that. And Paul's like
just a little clip in of Paul's worst interview.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like Paul, when you're talking to him in person, or if he was around here, he'd be great. But as soon as like you got a reporter and a camera and like a mic, he's like kind of freezes up and like doesn't know what to say. It's like, oh, that's good. But anyways, before we get into Clint, I do want to bring up Olson's weekend that he had last weekend. So for anyone that doesn't know, Ols was invited down to his where he last played hockey at, the Orlando Solar Bears. And he had one hell of a weekend. Let's hear about it. Give us some stories.
You're not wrong. It was a fantastic weekend. So they set up this, so they were a team before, and then they disbanded, and then they came back 10 years ago in the East Coast League. And so they set up a 10-year celeb classic, and they had people come back in and whatever. And I think there were 8 players throughout the 10 years.
Did you just refer to yourself as a celeb?
No, that's what they called it. That's what they called it. I didn't say that. It was called
He did, though.
Well,
Are you down there? Are you a little celebrity? Like, probably walking around the rink signing some autographs?
Oh, yeah. I'll get to that. We had a whole weekend. It was nice. That was kind of Travie's playground down there. Like, Thursday
the
night.
MVP, the Solar Bears MVP, Trevor Olson. What year is that? 2020, 2019,
2020, yeah. Yep. 2019, 2020, I think. Something like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, look it up. So I get down there Thursday night. They fly me in, all inclusive. They got me set up. They bought
a goddamn celebrity.
How else are they going to get you?
Well, I could have drove. No, they paid for my plane ticket. They got us down there, hooked us up in the hotel right next to the rink. Thursday, I got in, didn't do much, whatever. Friday, they had the Stanley Cup in the building.
I saw that picture. You touched it.
Absolutely.
You're not going to fucking win it now, man.
Yeah.
God damn.
So I saw people...
I mean, with COVID going on, you never know.
I saw people commenting on my thing. They're like, "Oh, you'll never win." I'm like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" I was still holding on to the fact. I was like, I might come out of retirement. Not.
You could always coach or be like the trainer.
Yeah. No, I'll coach like high school or something. But so I touched the shit out of the cup, and we did like a little fan.
You fondled the cup.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Where'd you grab it?
you
like
have to
around the
tickle it.
back or like
I
up on the
did
chest?
a
people
double.
watching online,
I did
can
a
you see?
double.
He did the double
I was
like
this.
he kind of did the ass grab and then the chest grab of the cup.
Jack's laughing. I can hear Jack laughing over there. So I'm grabbing onto the cup like this, and no, we got a picture, and then we did like a little fan thing, and then we behind the goalie is like a pit, and they're buying us beers and whatever. So Friday night was fun, but then Saturday was like the real whatever. They announced us. We went out, we had the Celebrity Classic game.
Yep.
Quick 2 tucks, 2 apples.
2 and 2.
Yeah. Well, there was only
How you doing?
There was only 8 players, so then the other guys were pay to play. So I'm out there dangling,
Just dangling, dangling some construction workers out in Florida.
Oh yeah, dude. So we played 2 30-minute halves. I'm fucking bagged, dude. When's the last time you guys skated like competitively?
It's been about a year.
Yeah,
competitively.
Like,
is men's league competitive?
I mean, made some hard strides. Like maybe.
Yeah, I'd say
We had to
men's
try
league.
because we couldn't get around the has-been high schoolers.
Yeah, we played in a men's league last year together.
That's a cheat code.
And it was it should have been, but it was embarrassing. I mean, we got dusted.
We also had
Dusted.
We also had Miguel Fiddler out of Ohio State. We had
Johnny Wiedela.
John Weedle out of Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we had Casey Nelson that had just hung up the skates for the Sabres.
Yep.
And,
had a contract.
Did you guys win the championship?
No, we got
we
dusted.
lost more than half of the games we.
Well, you guys had beers before.
We couldn't go back. I was like, this is embarrassing. Jesus. Like everyone's looking at our gear like, oh, these guys are going to kill us. Or, former college, former pro players. Like, this is bad. And then they leave the rink like, holy shit.
Well,
those guys used to play pro.
What happened is we played the Augsburg guys
Yeah.
that had just graduated.
Yeah.
So they're like a year out of
Yeah.
performance.
They were still
there.
sharp out there.
Was that
it seemed like
Eli
they
May? Eli May and the boys? Was Eli May on that team?
Gosh, I don't know.
Oh,
it
he
was
was.
like,
I know Chandler Madry was on the team. Alex
Yeah.
Rodriguez, A-Rod,
yeah.
Okay.
was on the team. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, keep
I'll
going
continue
with your story.
Yeah, so I might have fabricated a little bit. There were times where I'd play against people that, they're good people. And so we played the Celebrity Classic. My team won 9-3. Not a big deal. Then we went to the game Saturday night. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm good for that.
Yeah,
Somebody has to do it.
Olson loves patting himself on the back.
Why
It's
wouldn't
great.
you?
I do too.
That's what it's all about. It's either me or my dad. So it's like, so we go to the game. They announce us before the game. We do the puck drop, whatever. That's all fun and games. And then in between the first period and the second period, that first intermission, me and 3 of the guys, we played the inflatable soccer.
I saw this.
Where you run around and you fuck.
Yeah, it looks like a great time.
It was better than expected.
Oh, okay.
We get out there. We left the ball. We just had guys running at each other. We were blowing each other up, and I'm playing against Mike Monfredo. I don't know if you guys know that name.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Monfredo's,
Yeah.
he was my captain down there in Orlando. He's a mean dude. And me and him opening puck drop, boinked off each other. There's a video. It's hilarious. We'll have to show that, Jack. But so we played intermission soccer, and then in the second during the second period, they replayed my "Finish the Lyric" song.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
You were all over the rink. Okay, so the reason I know this was Jackson Keene played at North Dakota. He plays for the Solar Bears now, and I think he's injured, so he was in the stands. So he's sending me snap videos of Ols the entire night. Like Ols on the screen singing lyrics, and then he's out there in the bubble suit, and Keener's like, Ols is a goddamn lunatic. He is just dummying guys out there. I'm like, that's all the guy does. He just tosses the weight around.
There was one where the ball was trickling back towards my goal, and I left my feet to save it, and I blew up the cage. Like the net just literally went up the boards and like unhinged. People are like, "You're fucking wild, man."
How many?
Speaking of him being wild and something that I wasn't around for at the time, Did you ever score a big goal against Lakeville South in some sort of semifinal?
He for sure did.
Wow.
Let me hear about it. Tell your side of the story, and then I'll tell mine. I wasn't there. I was off on some other tangent.
So Clint's a Lakeville guy, so this is why he knows this.
Yep. This is
you remember this?
This hurts my soul.
Of course he remembers it.
I remember every goal I scored.
There's people out there that do that. Remember everything.
Oh yeah.
No, just I remember significant parts of my life, and this just happened to be one because the year previous we lost to Eden Prairie in the championship game 3-2 in triple overtime.
Okay.
The Andrew Kerr game.
Yeah.
With Kyle Rao and the
Yep.
Oh God.
So Rao scored on us, whatever, and so all of the guys came back, and we brought literally everybody back, and we were the number 1 team in state. And first game we played against Lakeville South, they upset us. We were the first one
What year
seed.
would this have been?
This would have been 2012.
Okay.
So 2012 was my senior year.
Justin Clues, Alex Harvey.
That's exactly.
Seniors, Joe Freemark.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so we go into the XL, and they fucking beat us. We were
I
the
didn't
first.
know that.
We were the first number 1 seed
To
ever
lose
to
first
lose.
round.
Anyway, I scored the first goal of the game. I went Tim Tebow into the Cam Newton.
Oh God.
Classic high school. That's why high school is the greatest. You just pull out the most ridiculous celebration.
Actually, this is funny because 10K has a K-Fan podcast. I don't know if they talk with Paul Allen at all.
Yeah.
But my dad told me Paul Allen chirped me after that game.
Here's my side of the story.
Yeah. Let's
I'm
hear
friends with all the Lakeville guys, right?
Yeah.
The guys that had to witness this on the ice.
Yep.
And the night that we had our legendary dart battle down at Basement Bar.
Yeah.
Okay. I come home the next day, or probably that night. Wake up the next day, my roommates are there, and there's some Lakeville guys. I'm like, I was with Trevor Olson at Basement Bar. He played some darts, did this. He's like, Trevor Olson, that guy's kind of a douche, isn't he? I'm like,
Yeah, he is.
I'm like, I don't
Hey,
know.
for sure
Good
is.
time with him. Beat his ass in darts. Got pretty fucked up at the bar with him. And he's a good guy. He's like, well, he did this thing in the state tournament and just looked like a total douchebag doing it. So nobody in Lakeville really likes him anymore.
Oh yeah, that's actually no surprise. That's fucking hilarious because when Gager brought up Brad Marchand earlier, I was like, God, you know what? He is a rat, but he's the guy I'd like to have on my team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I view myself as a very similar player
You
to
kind of
Brad.
are. You kind of are.
You make ridiculous celebrations. Marchand actually puts up points.
Well,
So if you guys are
do I need to
similar-
bring up my stat line with Jake Gensel again?
Yeah.
I think
I'm just fucking with you. I don't know your.
No, I'm
your
just giving
stat
you
line,
shit.
But you should look at mine. It's not very good.
No, yeah. I depleted in college. We'll just say that.
Ols was definitely a phenom in high school. I mean,
Okay.
and Duluth, that whole Duluth East team was just ridiculous.
Well, our line was disgusting.
Yeah, who was it?
Our full top 5 was me, Dom Totnato, who's still playing in the NHL, Jake Randolph, who went to Omaha,
Yep.
Nate Rapinski, who went to Yale,
Yep.
and Mears Moore, who went to RPI, and now he's playing over in Europe. That was our top 5. And then we had Toscano,
I
Forbert,
remember him
Valisano.
Yeah.
the other day. Valisano was a good player.
Did you play with
They were all
Valisano?
95s that we played for the Lake
He never.
Stars.
Yeah. Did you ever play for the Lake
Couple tournaments.
Yeah.
I was usually an Iceman or a
Junior Islander?
Okay. Those guys were always good. Andrew Kerr might not have been the most skilled person, but Andrew Kerr would fucking bag a 6-foot kid. Easy.
Dude, Andrew Kerr was an absolute nail gun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where was Pionk?
Pionk was Hermantown.
Hermantown.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah.
So I played with all those guys in the Lake Superior Stars growing up after our Junior Islanders stint, and that was when you were playing for the Icemen.
Yeah.
All those Duluth East guys were on the Lake Superior Stars, and they were just it was insane. They're all on the same team. I mean, I think they were still good when you left, even like for a couple of years. I don't know how they are now, but
they just got new coaching staff, and so they're figuring some stuff out.
Randolph's gone.
Yeah, he's down in St. Thomas Academy now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever it was time to split ways. And so he's associate head coach down there. And then actually my Bantam coach just took over the high school team. My brother coaches JV.
Nice.
Yeah. So we got off track there. I want to get back. So the Lakeville boys hate me.
They're not
they
fun.
Don't know you.
That's fair.
The only thing they know is you doing the Tim Tebow into the cabinet.
Yeah. And to be
Into
honest,
the Cam Newton. Yeah.
and to be honest, this is what I talk about all the time. Minnesota sports, that wouldn't fly anywhere else.
No.
But Minnesota sports, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Especially the high school hockey team.
Yeah.
I mean, you would pull off. I mean, I'm surprised guys aren't gearing down, taking off their jersey and shoulder pads and throwing them in the stands and then asking for them back.
But it's the coolest shit in the world because you're playing in front of 18,000 fans at 16, 17,
Well, if you're
18.
double A school, if you're single A, you're just lower bowl, but still nasty.
Yeah.
EGF, nasty.
A small dynasty. To any Lakeville people out there, I'd love to have a chat with you.
Get to know him. Get to know him. He's not too bad.
Yeah, like, give me a chance. I'm one of those guys that'll walk into a room and if 99 people like me, but one don't, I'm going to be like, hey, man.
You're hanging around that one guy,
I'm
like, hey, you're going to like me by the end of the night, buddy.
You know, I'm going to try to at least.
choice.
God, that's my fatal flaw, but, oh, that's funny. I'm
like that.
glad you brought that
You
up.
are a pretty likable guy. I don't mean to let you know.
Yeah, it's
No,
tough.
that's fine.
Like
I almost prefer it.
It's tough to find people that don't like Olson that know him, but I can see how people don't like him when they. I mean, he runs guys on the ice, and then he also sells like a douchebag. So you know,
Well, I scored 4 goals in college. Like, I'm going fucking buck wild when I score those goals.
Yeah.
You kidding me? My Siggy one leg. Oh yeah.
I might have you beat. I have less.
No.
You have to look. You have to look it up.
How long was your longest time between goals? Days, like calendar days, not like.
Oh shit, dude! I'd have to go on. I'd have to research for that. But
Mine was 2 years, 2 calendar years.
2 full hockey seasons without scoring a goal.
2 full calendar years, so it was a year and a half in hockey, but including the summer.
Yeah.
that's pretty. I mean, how pumped were you when you got that first one? That's like tearing off a gorilla off your back, not a monkey.
Yeah, I don't know my answer, but if we want to look it up and share it right now on the podcast to see if I actually beat him, I probably did.
Okay, well, Jack, you might have to get on that.
We'd have to do some digging and research. I'll look it up too because it'd be funny to see how long it went without scoring a goal.
I think my goal that took the monkey off my back against Boston College in Madison Square Garden.
Not a bad one to get the monkey off the back. New York City, MSG.
One of the greatest.
See you later, Boston College. We'll see you next time. Okay, so we've covered Olson's trip to Orlando and the infamous Tim Tebow to Cam Newton, rip the chest open Superman. Love that story. Let's get into Clint a little bit more, his playing career. I'll explain it first, his path, because it's kind of fun to listen to. Everyone's different path because there's so many different paths you can take in the hockey world, and there's really no right path, but he's kind of got a cool one. So he starts out at Shattuck. Well, from Lakeville, grows up in Lakeville, actually grows up in Brainerd, moves to Lakeville, plays there, goes to Shattuck, a couple of years there, and then goes to the NTDP where Clint and I played together in Ann Arbor, and then he actually goes to Cornell after that, which is where he realizes, like, you know what? I don't really need this fucking schooling.
I ran into a guy at Lifetime today with a Cornell Big Red hockey shirt on. No. I've never seen that. Anywhere outside of Ithaca, New York, you've never seen somebody wearing a Big Red hockey shirt. So I go up to this guy. I'm like, dude, I used to play there. And we started talking, and he was back in 2007, so that would have been, like 6 years before I went there for 1 year and realized I wasn't smart. Left. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so anyways, he goes to Cornell, realizes it's not for him. I mean, I think you were doing pretty well there. He just didn't like it as much. So then he goes back to the USHL because it was back in the day where you couldn't transfer schools. You had to sit out a year if you played at a school and if you transferred. So he goes back to the USHL, plays for Sioux Falls, wins a Clark Cup championship
with
there.
Kerry Eads, for all the North Dakota people watching.
Kerry Eads, the head coach. we'll go over some of the players on your team there, because that team, we were looking at the roster today, and the stacked team. But then anyways, he leaves Sioux Falls after Clark Cup Championship, goes to Mankato for 3 years.
Great bars.
Powerhouse team there. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get into that a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I know a couple of the guys that he played with there, and they're legends.
Yeah.
I like all those guys.
Yeah.
And then from Mankato, he goes to Boise, Idaho, and then gets traded kind of midway through the year to Greenville in the East Coast Hockey League. Pretty cool. Couple cool spots there. But let's go back to Shattuck. So in Shattuck, you played with some good players there. One I can name off the top of my head, probably the best player that you played with there, no one other than Nathan MacKinnon. So
he's really good.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's still doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I think. So
how is the Shattuck experience compared to high school? And I do want to get into how is MacKinnon? Obviously he's this talent that is just not seen anywhere else, obviously. And he's got to have some different things. So I want to hear your perspective on what it was like to play at Shattuck and some stories on MacKinnon, maybe. What was it like?
Yeah, so just a backstory on that. I played there 1 year. It was my sophomore year of high school. That puts you in the U16 bracket. You want to make the U16 team.
Yep.
If you're there at that age, right?
Yep.
Tom Ward was the prep coach there. Guy's a legend. He made a rule. I don't know when it was. I don't know if it pertained to Sidney Crosby, but there's no sophomores allowed on prep. Okay. And I think Sidney Crosby's parents came into his office and said, well, what if my son's good enough to play on prep in sophomore year? He said, no. Okay. Same rules with Nathan MacKinnon, and Nathan MacKinnon and Sidney Crosby have a lot in common as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a similar path.
Yep.
Shattuck. They actually, was it Nova Scotia? Cole Harbour?
Halifax?
Halifax.
The Mooseheads.
Yeah. But I think born in the same small town of Cole
They
Harbour.
are, yeah.
Yeah. So Nathan MacKinnon at that time, right, we're at tryouts, and you kind of, go on from phase one of tryouts to phase two, okay? And obviously McKinnon's the best player in the whole school, and he's 15 years old. Sophomore, okay?
Yeah.
Better than the Teddy Blugers and the John Draggers back when those were the best guys there at Shattuck. Yeah. And of course, he still didn't make prep. So he lands on a team that he's way too good for. Okay. And he's going up and playing against guys that he's a lot better than. Yeah. Kind of like Connor McDavid playing with Gage in Sochi and myself. Yeah.
He slid in and myself there. He slid that in. If you guys didn't hear that, Clint Lewis slid that in.
It's funny because Clint and I kind of had a same role on that NTDP team. And then during that World Tournament, we kind of hit our stride, and we both were playing some big minutes, and we were feeling pretty good about ourselves there.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
but keep going.
Let's surround Shattuck's conversation with Nathan MacKinnon, because that was the most prosperous player that I played there with. Actually, before we do that, I guess we could talk about Tyler Vessel playing at Omaha. Okay, he was really good. Taylor Camerata went on to play at the Gophers.
And Cammy actually led that team in points, didn't he?
Cammy did.
I think he did.
He had a knee injury for about 4 weeks, put him out about.
But Cammy was pretty ridiculous.
10, points. But yeah, Cammy was points, right? We had the legendary McTavish's son. His name was Sean. Okay.
Yeah.
He was on the team. Didn't go too far. Played at Waterloo for a little bit. Ended up playing some Canadian college. There's a ton of great players on that team, but obviously MacKinnon being the best one. And trying to think of a story I want to share with him, but we would always, since I live close, right? I still lived in Lakeville, but I would drive down to Faribault every single day for school. So I was what you call a day student there. Yep. All these other guys live on campus, right? We had an Easter weekend. We were off. Okay, no games scheduled. So whenever you get free time, same thing with Ann Arbor. You get 4 days, and everyone's so young. They're like, oh fuck, let's go home, right? We did the same thing. So all these guys from out of state, Canada, we all go to my house in Lakeville on Easter weekend. We go to the gas station. We buy 8 dozen eggs. I think it's 96 eggs. Right?
That sounds good.
Yeah, and it's great because the clerk at the gas station was like, "What the fuck are you doing buying so many eggs?" "Oh, we're gonna paint Easter eggs at home." "We're not." Okay. We go out and we fuck up these neighborhoods, just start drilling cars, and I'm driving around. I got McTavish, Cecere, MacKinnon, and Peter McCardle, if that rings a bell for him.
Yeah.
He played college hockey somewhere. And we're just running around these Lakeville neighborhoods, just hammering cars with eggs. Like fucking going on head on to cars on the back roads and neighborhoods and just chucking them out the window. We had a car turn around and chase us down. I had to speed off and get away.
Love that.
But I would say that's probably my most memorable story that I can share with Nate and those guys.
What was he like? He's got to be a little different than everyone else in terms of his like preparation and how he like approached the game and what he did for practice. Like, how many more hours is he putting in than the other guys in terms of like after practice is over, staying on the ice, getting in the shooting room?
Or was he just a normal person?
Yeah. I mean, he could be.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys like that.
Was it natural given? You know, was there something else that he did?
I mean, I'm not going to say McKinnon's one of those obviously he's naturally driven.
Yeah.
Okay. He's incredible. He's a specimen as an athlete. But is he that guy that's going to sit in the weight room and not talk to anybody and just be a fucking boner?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's a normal dude. He got along with all of us.
Yeah.
His compete level was insane. Okay. We're fighting at 15 years old in practice.
Yeah.
Like duking it out, just battling.
Yeah.
And he would just, his compete level was much higher. I wouldn't say his workout time and his shooting time and puck handling time, like after hours, was noticeable. Like you never, where's Nate at? Oh, he's shooting pucks. He wasn't that type of guy.
Yeah.
His compete level and his drive during practice and games is what took him over the top.
Okay.
Yep.
So another name we have here is Camerata. I played with him in South Carolina and Orlando. Just another subtle brag. Like guy led the USHL in points. Just happened to be in the same.
He had the
league.
record at one point, I think.
Well, it was him and Tyler Vessel on the same
and they were
line
so good
at Waterloo.
Yeah.
And there was one other person on that line at Waterloo that was just tearing it up with them. I can't remember who it
They
was.
had a ridiculous.
I can't
line.
remember who it was either, but he was just always skilled. You know, he's a smaller human, Camerata, but God, that guy could think the game. Like,
oh yeah, he was never trying. He was just floating around, getting into soft spots, just putting himself in the best situation because he was so smart at playing hockey.
I think his top speed on his wrist shot was like 45 miles an hour. Like he had
a lot like Gage trying to throw a dart.
oh, Gage, that lob shot is gross.
You know what? Let's not get into this.
We'll keep it going.
Jack, cross that out. We don't want this on the podcast.
Yeah, no,
I throw a dart pretty well.
It'll go.
One of my other Lakeville friends was playing darts with Gage a few weekends ago, and they started laughing so hard at his first and second throw because they didn't know if he was serious.
He might as well throw up his back leg.
Yeah,
right.
Fuck you guys.
No, you guys. He goes.
Keep going on camera on it now.
Truthfully, I don't know where I was going with that, but truthfully, I had one of my buddies, Jake Montgomery. I've heard his story. Ooh. Is that somebody that you know?
He was on our team. He was on that same U16 team. With,
okay.
Yeah, all the guys.
So you played with them in Sioux City, right?
So that was our line, me, Mont, and Gensel.
Yeah.
I know kind of Jake's background, why he decided to leave. What was like the decision for you to leave Minnesota high school? This storied thing. You hear all about Minnesota high school, Right. What made you want to leave and go the Shattuck route?
Good question. Everyone asks. Everyone from Minnesota asks this question because Minnesota, it's got one of the most premier high school programs.
Yeah.
It is the most premier.
People get so mad when you leave. You're like, why would you leave high school hockey?
Yeah, why would you leave, right? Well, I got to go play on a team with Nathan MacKinnon and Taylor Camerata, right? Yeah. And I got to go play against other really good players like JT Comfer on TI at the time. Same with Anthony Lewis. He played on TI. Yeah. I got to go out and play Trevor Hamilton on Honeybake that we'll talk about these
Mike
guys.
McCarron and Evan Allen. Yeah.
And then we got to go out to New Jersey and play the guys like Connor Clifton that's doing a great job in Boston still, I think.
Yep.
Obviously the talent in Minnesota is great, but you combine the talent with all the other states and you've completely trumped Minnesota.
Yeah,
okay? But it's not a fair fight. You got 49 states being put together in all this AAA hockey.
And I'm sure you had a hell of a time. Like Minnesota, my biggest, my biggest knock on Minnesota high school is Bantams for me was like my best. That was the best time ever because you played like 60 games or whatever, and you're always traveling, playing so many games. And then you get to high school, and you're playing like 1, maybe 2 games a week. Like you play, what's the season at? Like it's like 25 games or like, I don't know if it's more.
I think it's like 30 games, and then you get into like the sections, and then
it's not that many games, and you just want to play those games.
But you don't think about it because your brain is so ingrained. Like this is what you do in Minnesota high school. You play Bantams, and then you play high school, and then
You're in a cult in a way.
It is.
It's not a bad one. I'm not saying it in a bad way.
But
it is. It's a Minnesota cult.
Yeah. It is. It's almost like a religious thing where it's like you have this setup, and then growing up, it was like I'm going to play 3 years of high school, then I'm going to go straight to college. Right. I didn't know what the hell juniors was.
Oh yeah, no.
But now you can kind of see it. There's a lot of, in the newer NHL draft boards, you can see Minnesota players are starting to move back and back and back. And it's not a knock on their skill or anything, but they want to see
more
these
guys
other players at a different
level. I would say the perfect comparison is, Minnesota high school hockey is comparable to college hockey. Less games. It is. Right? Less intensity. Not intensity and skill or hard working, but you can't get away with much in high school hockey, and you can't get away with much in college hockey. Okay, it's governed in a way, and I would say the Shattocks, the AAA, right?
Yep.
The Shattocks and the TIs and Honey Baked,
Little Caesars.
Guys, that's more equivalent to the USHL, more of a pro schedule. Yep. They allow a little bit of roughness after the whistle. Okay.
Yep.
You play more games. So I would say those are two kind of comparables in a way.
You had to have a great time though. Like I know those prep schools like Shattuck, and there's a bunch of prep schools out east that you stayed at home, but it's different for a lot of guys. Like they're in high school and they literally just go to this prep school and stay in a dorm at like 15, 14 years old. It's honestly absurd that they let these kids that age stay in a dorm room and go to this school and like they're sophomores in high school. It just sounds ridiculous, but that's part of the fun. Like you guys probably had so much fun on those bus rides, and like
it's part of the dedication too, I think, of being at that young of an age and being, skilled and sought after. You ship yourself off to a isolated location, Faribault, Minnesota. What the fuck's around there, right?
Yeah.
And you're off to fend for yourself in a way. Yeah, you have a great support, like you got your food for you, you've got your housing and everything. But in terms of, your sports schedule, whether it's playing soccer there or hockey, or even your academic schedule, because a lot of people go there for academics. Like you're really put under stressful situations that force you to grow up by yourself. And I would say that's the number one thing that Shattuck taught me, and that's the number one shout out I have to give them, is that they're really good at making people grow.
For sure,
that's fair.
For sure.
Had a train of thought, but I lost it. So we'll continue.
That's all right.
I think that's enough about Shattuck.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well, I mean, do we even want to talk about about NTDP or anything? I mean,
I'm sure you'll cover enough stuff throughout this whole series.
Yeah, I mean, we can skip NTDP. Clint and I played there together.
NTDP is the National
Team
Development Program.
Correct.
Thank you.
And
National
you are.
Development
I mean,
Program.
I think they changed that name, didn't they?
No, it's the same, but they're in Plymouth now.
Locations.
They're not in Ann Arbor. They're in Plymouth, Michigan, where the Plymouth Whalers used to play in the OHL. But Clint and I have some stories from there. But we lost two silver medals. We have 2 silver medals on our hands, which is tough because we thought, we were kind of the better team both of those games, but it was tough. But I will mention that I did knock McDavid on his wallet at the U18. Just one more time.
What was your biggest highlight at it? Let's do this.
Just show my stat line for my U17 and U18 season, and you'll see my biggest highlight. It's not very good.
I respect that.
But anyways, so Clint leaves NTDP. He goes to Cornell. What was Cornell like? I mean, not a lot of people that listen to this, they're regular college. You're going to North Dakota, Bemidji State, taking walking classes. It's kind of a joke compared to Cornell. What's Cornell like when you go there? You play hockey, but you're also in some premier school where you're supposed to be studying and worried about a career after.
Right. I would say it's very comparable to Shattuck, right? You've got international students coming in for arts, education,
For sure.
music, whatnot, all this stuff, right? You've got people coming in to a very sought after location for that, and then you've got your hockey program, right? The crowd there is phenomenal.
Which we played when we were in Ann Arbor. We played Cornell.
We did play Cornell,
And that atmosphere there
Mike
is.
McCarron's older brother, John McCarron, was on the team at the time.
He was, yeah.
You know? And speaking of John McCarron, just set the actual. Do you know John?
Well, he played for Orlando, and John plays for Florida, so he played.
Oh, so they were. Yeah,
he played John. Well, let's see.
John just set the franchise record for the points for the Florida Everblades.
Yeah,
Great player. But he's kind of a shit to play against.
Oh,
You know, he's kind of a cocksucker. But
that's not surprising the least bit because we played with his brother Mike McCarron, and he was an absolute. Oh my
where
God!
Where did Mike McCarron play?
So he played.
He's fucked off and went over.
He went to London. So he played at NTDP. Then he went to London.
No, he tried working out at Western for a while.
Yes, he tried going to Western. Then he's like, "Fuck this! I'm going to London," because he's a first round pick in the NHL. And then he went to London. And then he's playing for the Predators right now. But
Yeah.
He's still playing. For the Predators.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
We'll get back to this a little bit later, but we'll talk about when we talk about Sioux Falls. Dakota Joshua versus Mike McCarron fight in the NHL is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'll just add in, I think Jack's doing a new intro video, and my last hit is against McCarron.
Oh,
Did you knock the big boy down?
Me and him went at it.
John's he's a wagon.
And it's not like, I wouldn't say I hate the guy. You know, Cam Johnson was on Florida. And so every time we played them, me and him were texting, and it was like, this guy fucking hates you. Yada, yada,
Oh
yada.
yeah.
Well, there was a couple times there.
He's like John McCarron looking. He's trying to get your head.
But he was scary, and he was a good player. Like, he was always good. Every time we played Florida,
solid.
He had 2-3 points. It was like, how do you fucking stop this guy?
He's a unit. What is he? He's probably like 6'2", 6'3", 230. Yeah, 235.
He's a big fellow, but he's skilled.
Yeah, he plays the game well.
He's a highlight of my Cornell career. He was a big part of the team.
Yeah,
I always looked up to him as Mike's older brother.
Yeah.
I played with Mike in Ann Arbor with Gage, and I looked up to John because we played him that year. We were seniors, and we went out there. And when I got there, John was actually a junior captain, just like yourself with North Dakota.
Yeah.
So the first and only year that I'm there as a freshman, I got a guy 2 years older than me as a junior as the captain, and it's my old teammate's older brother. And John kind of took me under his wing a little bit. A couple other guys there did. The whole program was great.
Yeah.
And he, I'm trying to think of how he finished off his career there. I'm pretty sure he played all 4 years.
Yeah, he did.
He's the type of player that, he's great on the coast, right?
Yeah.
And he should probably be in the A, definitely.
A little too old, doesn't have the NHL potential, so they're not going to bring him up. But he probably could be a good player in the American League.
He's one of the best players I played against.
Yeah.
Without question.
There's so many of those guys on the coast that could easily play on American League teams, but they're just not going to call them up because they're not a prospect for the NHL, so there's no point. But
So let me ask you this. Obviously you don't want to bad talk a program, but what was your reasoning for taking off and going back to Sioux Falls and looking for a fresh start? Like, what was that whole process like?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Shattuck and Cornell are pretty similar, right? You got Shattuck as a high school, Cornell as a college, okay? People come there to do pretty much the same thing, okay? I went off to college thinking, no, I'm going to go
to college.
Yeah. I'm going to go to college.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just like all of us. Like, hey, want to fucking college? Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So that's, that's probably the number one thing. I thought college was going to be a different experience. I'm not saying Cornell was bad, okay? Schaefer was my coach at the time. He's incredible. The program he's ran since I've been there, which is almost 10 years now, has been good every single year. The assistant coach, Topher Scott, great guy. Ben Sire, he was unbelievable. Everything there was great. the support from the fans, the support from just the student body was good. But
you're just looking for something
I was
different.
looking for something different.
Yeah.
At the time, okay? I had spent my time at Shattuck when I was 16,
Yeah.
okay? Now I'm 18 years old, and I'm looking to go to college, and it just wasn't the right fit. So I did what Gage was explaining earlier. At that time, you couldn't just transfer from one school to another. You had to do what's called a 4-2-4 transfer. So you have to go from a 4-year school to a 2-year school back to a 4-year school. And I actually went to Sioux Falls at that time and went to a community college, took classes, and played the whole Sioux Falls year.
Okay.
So yeah, you end up in Sioux Falls with Kerry Eads. How does Kerry get you there? Did he draft you? Did he recruit you? Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, this might get a little deep into the hockey world, but I think the northern Minnesotan listeners might catch on to this. At the time, Dean Grillo was my guy.
As an agent in the NHL.
Advisor.
Yeah.
You can't be an agent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Dean Grillo's a big name. He's a huge
Dino
agent.
follows our podcast.
Yeah.
I saw his name come across.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah.
I got nothing
He's
but
a
good
legend.
things to say about
Yeah.
Dino. I hope I see him at Zorbas on Gull Lake here pretty soon.
We'll get a trip going.
Yeah,
It might be a
absolutely.
10K reunion. Get all the boys up there.
I was just up there the other day, and I saw his dad, Chuck, standing next to Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Was it? He was with the Penguins. But I saw Sean Chambers on the wall with the Stanley Cup at Zorbas. I saw Chuck Grillo, all those guys up there at Zorbas. But at the time, Dean Grillo's like, okay, Clint, you don't want to be here at Cornell. We got to find a way to get you into the USHL for a year to take a community college class and then transfer into wherever you want to go. And, Dean, Northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
Kerry Eads, Northern Minnesota. They know each other, right? So that's basically how I got in there.
Yeah.
And I used to play with Kerry Eads' son, Eddie, growing up. But that was my route into Sioux Falls.
So then you head to Sioux Falls. And, I mean, I can imagine, like, I kind of went through this my freshman year as well at UND. I went into the coach's office after my freshman year. I didn't play much my freshman year. And I go to the coach's office and I have my advisor in my ear and my parents, we got Tucker Pullman coming in, pretty good player, and only one D leaving. Like, are you going to play next year? We don't know. So it was a little, I didn't know if I was going to play. So I was exploring the, USHL option a little bit, see what happens. But I mean, you found yourself in a pretty good situation in Sioux Falls there. I mean, you ended up winning the entire league. Had to have been an incredible experience. I mean, what's it like winning the Clark Cup?
It's pretty good. I mean, it's the biggest championship I've ever won in my career. At Shattuck, we got knocked out by TI or Honeybait actually in the finals out in Connecticut. We never won shit in Ann Arbor for some reason.
Dude,
we fucked up a 4-peat.
We were supposed to win in Windsor at the 17s. We lose to Russia and Valery Nikushkin and Barbashev and all those guys.
Those guys suck.
Nikita Zadorov, and then we outplay Canada and Sochi, and I think the shots were like 37-12, and we lose.
You got nothing to say about that, do you?
Oh my God. Fuck that. That was so sad. But I again during that game I did knock McDavid on his wall.
Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
Playing with a broken index finger in a cast that weekend.
I remember
I had
that.
to cut my glove open and make it.
You had to sew the two fingers together so it's one slit.
I don't think I stick handled it really much that game.
So anyways, your team your team
keep the puck prepped. Just prep the puck.
No, Clint and I were guys that didn't stick handle much out there, so it didn't. I don't think that it probably played a little factor, but we really didn't need.
You guys are speaking to the choir, man.
I don't know what you're saying. You had some skill. I've seen you toe drag some guys. Also,
little toey. I just bit off, the role that I was going to play. North Dakota, I was a grinder. I was going to fucking grind, and I was going to blow somebody up. But, when I went to Orlando, it's a different story. Let me toe a snipe, right? Sorry.
But, anyways,
I'm talking about me again.
Take a bathroom, right?
Yeah. I got to pee. Oh, man.
All right, so, we lost those two championships. U17.
And then you go to Sioux Falls, though. I mean, your team was
Here,
insane.
let's talk about Cornell too. I lost a big championship there.
Really?
In
the East or the ECAC?
So we play at Lake Placid. Okay, that's where the ECAC tournament goes at the end of the year. And we lost to Union with Bodie and Gothlis Bear.
Pretty good team.
And a Minnesota legend, great guy, Sam Coda.
Yes.
The Coda family.
That was the year Union beat the Gophers in the championship.
First, they had to beat us in Lake Placid, and then they went on to beat the Gophers in the final.
And then they beat North Dakota, and then they beat the Gophers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's
No. They didn't beat us. All right. We would have beat them for sure. We lost to the Gophers 0.6 seconds. We won't talk about that.
But yeah, so we got knocked out that year by the national champions, and then I go to Sioux Falls. Take a huge step down back into the USHL, right? But I'm playing for Gary Eads.
But you had to have been having a good time there because you got a good team. You're back in juniors, out of school, which is something we didn't really.
I still had to go to community college in Sioux Falls, and it was a little different than Cornell.
Yeah.
The education level wasn't up to Cornell standard at that community college in Sioux Falls.
No, but believe it or not, this is taking a step forward. My Cornell credits didn't transfer into Mankato, but all my community college credits from Sioux Falls.
Mankato's like,
I had to go into the office and talk to this guy. I said, hey, this is not Cornell in Iowa. This is the fucking Cornell in New York.
This is an Ivy League.
Yeah. I'm in an Ivy League school and my credits don't transfer.
Cornell's like,
quadruple.
Cornell's like, Mankato's like, you know what? We can't process those credits. That's a little above our pay grade. We'll take those community credits, but you can take that Cornell shit out of here.
These are Bitcoin.
We don't teach those classes.
These are Bitcoin. We teach Dogecoin. Like, if you have one of these, you might as well just graduate right now.
No, it was incredible. I actually had to go into the office and talk to my advisor and say, hey, what's going on here? Right? Like, what are you guys doing?
No, I'm not redoing this year of school.
I ended up graduating college with like 165 credits. Because if I added up my Cornell community college and 3 years in Mankato, and what do you need? 120? You need 30 a semester
like
for 4 years. It's 120 credits to graduate if you take the right ones, right?
Yeah.
But I'm taking all these bullshit ones because I have so many credits. And yeah, I probably had over 100. So I'm the smartest guy in Mankato.
So you're going to bring up some of the names on that Sioux Falls team.
Yeah, I mean, he played with someone like you played with so many good players on that team. That team was ridiculous. I mean, you had Kiefer Bellows, who was like probably he was a young player on that team. He was probably your best player at the time. But I mean, you had Logan O'Connor.
Troy Loggins was a good player.
Yeah, Dakota Joshua played for the Blues now. I mean. Who else is on that? And there's so many other names on that team that were just it was a ridiculous team.
Yeah. I mean, you just named obviously the best ones there. I did just bring up the roster earlier to kind of reminisce on that whole season. But with the combination of Kerry Eads and that skill level of guys for the USHL, I mean, it was deadly, dude. He at the trade deadline got a hold of Mikey Isemont for a couple
Mikey's pretty good too.
He got a hold of Mikey Isemont, which I think took second in the playoff points that year. Troy Loggins took first, but he got a hold of Mikey Isemont for like literally draft picks.
Yeah,
and from Mikey Isemont was in Fargo, and now Eads is in Fargo, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he went there and won a Clark Cup.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. He's got a good resume. What was it like?
We saw him at the Rolling Stones concert a few weeks ago in Minneapolis.
Clint and I go to the Rolling Stones concert with Clint's dad because Clint's dad's a huge Rolling Stones guy. So he gets us tickets to the Rolling Stones and we're walking around and we just see Birdie standing there.
And Gage had a mustache. He was wearing a thick one at the time.
Thick sweater.
We'll actually send the picture in so you can throw it in.
Why'd you shave that? I just started mine. I'm just getting started. Like, hey, take a look.
I don't know because one of Clint's friends, Chris Gonzalez,
Gonzo?
Yeah, Gonzo. Yeah. I saw Gonzo's also a UND guy, but I saw him out when I was wearing the mustache. He's like, what do you got that mustache for?
He started chirping and you folded.
You're an attention whore, aren't you? You're just wearing that thing for attention. I'm like, you know what? Fuck yeah, I am. Of course, that's the only reason you wear a mustache, for attention. So people come up to you like, hey man, nice mustache. And that's 100% why you do it. You don't like what you see in the mirror, but you want people to come up and be like, hey, nice fucking mustache, buddy.
I don't like anything in the mirror. I really don't. But
But what's it like? Because I never won a Clark Cup. Like, after you guys won, like.
Yeah, so it was actually a pretty legendary year to win the Clark Cup. Talking about myself because
That's
everybody
fine.
in the world loves
You're
talking
has-been.
about themselves.
You're has-been,
yeah,
baby.
no, this is back in the day. This has nothing to do with the person I am now.
Yeah.
This is back in the past.
You hear that, Lakeville people?
Yeah, don't hate on this guy for selling you in front of 18,000 people.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. You would have done it.
They had just opened up what's called the Denny Sanford Premier Center, the biggest venue in Sioux Falls. Not that Sioux Falls is big, right? But holds like 15,000. And
It's quite the rink.
yeah, it's really nice.
I actually went and watched a game of yours that year because Ty, my younger brother, was playing for Lincoln. He was playing against you guys, so I watched that game. Yeah.
And then we watched a Nickelback concert in that same arena one weekend that we weren't playing. It was great.
Oh, Nickelback, they slap. People make fun of Nickelback, but it's like
Great songs.
they got bangers, man.
That's a pretty hot take, is the Nickelback situation.
Yeah.
Tell me you're not going to sing along to a Nickelback
You
song.
have
90% of them. You know 90%
Photograph,
of the songs.
animals, you
Look
know,
at
you
this
Burn into the ground.
burn it to the ground. Are
Everyone
you
listens to that
kidding
in the
me?
locker before they go.
I think that was our power play song in Sioux City. We used to eat that shit up. Me and Jake Gensel and Jake Montgomery.
How many points do you have that year again?
Too many.
Yeah, so we played in the Denny Sanford Center the whole year. Like, it was ready for us at the start. We had this great locker room. But yeah, Clark Cup playoffs come around. We end up playing Muskegon, which beat Dubuque in the semis.
It's kind of an upset.
That was
Huge upset.
That was when
You
Dubuque
were
was really
you were
good.
expecting to play Dubuque.
Yeah. We were expecting to play Dubuque. Exactly.
Yeah.
Muskegon snuck by and beat them. And then we beat, what is it, 5-game series in the USHL?
I think so, yeah.
We beat Muskegon 3 times in a row. Just so happened we went to Muskegon to play 2, come back to play 1 game in Sioux Falls, and we blued out the rink. Everyone had blue T-shirts in their seats, and we ended up winning the 3rd game that night.
Do you do anything like, what's this? I mean, because you're still like juniors in college, you're on your own, do whatever you want. Juniors are living with a billet family, so you got a little more rules. Like, do the billets like let you do whatever you want after the game? Kind of no rules, or is it like
That
you're
night-
still high school students? Or I mean, you weren't, but right out of high school, so it's
Yeah, I mean, we were still really young, right? We didn't really know what we were doing. But that night was pretty much a free-for-all. We had our trainer come to our parties.
oh yeah,
We had our equipment manager come by.
yeah.
And we're all getting fucked up in some basement of these girls from Sioux Falls. Like, we were hanging out with them the whole year. Like, they're great girls, great family. They'd always host us in their basement with like pool and ping pong and all this shit. So we went there, and equipment manager shows up, trainer shows up. Like, literally anybody that's in town for the weekend to see us comes there, and you got drunk. Right? That's about it. Like, it wasn't like,
It had to have been a hell of a time.
It was a great time.
You guys get tattoos or anything? Was there any talk about the Clark Cup champion tattoos?
A lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
A lot of tattoos. I didn't get one. I was supposed to get one. I didn't do it, but I got some backlash for it because one of the guys I played with ended up going to Mankato with me the next year. And
Parker
he had
Toomey?
ugly ass tattoo on his thigh. And he was the first one to go, so it was closer to his knee than it was his hip. And he's a European, so he wears short shorts. And he's got this thing sticking out all the time. And everyone's like, what the fuck is that?
But Clinty, you're still you're in good shape, man.
I just got to work out in today with Gage.
Yeah, it's
Good for you two. If I had any kind of tattoo, it would be mega enlarged. That bitch is stretched. It doesn't matter what
It's
part
like
of the body it was on. Man.
What's that Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg movie? That's My Boy. Have you ever seen that? And he's got that tattoo of the Backstreet Boys or whatever on his back.
Stretches it out or whatever.
Stretched out. I got it when I was like 12 years old.
Okay, so you win a Clark Cup, then you go to Mankato.
Yeah.
Awesome school.
Yeah, like what's the difference? That's got to be, Mankato, you talk about Mankato, and everyone knows who's old enough and has went to school. Mankato's a school you play good hockey at, and you also have a fucking great time.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than Cornell. I mean, Cornell's good at hockey, but we all know you go to Mankato, you have a good time, you play hockey, you're a stud there. Like, it's got to be a nice change of scenery for you coming from Cornell.
Right, and that was my whole goal, was to, when I left Cornell, I'm trying to find a fit for college, okay? And I'm playing there in Sioux Falls under Kerry Eads, and I'm getting attention from a couple schools. And one's, an hour and a half away from home. Hell of a program at the time. When I committed, they were number one, but for some reason, every time they're number one, they go to the tournament and lose their first game. So at the time, I was like, this seems like a great fit. Mike Hastings came out, watched me. I went to Mankato, took a tour around with Darren Blue.
East Grand Forks guy.
Darren Blue is an East Grand
shout
Forks
out,
guy.
Shout out to Bluesy.
Yeah, Bluey's the man.
Yeah.
Bluey and I get along. It's good shit.
I love those guys. The Bluey brothers, they're unbelievable. Yeah.
He's done now, though. He retired.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Wants to spend more time with his family. Can't blame him. Yeah.
But no, I get there. School's a lot easier, as you can imagine, in Cornell. Okay, I took karate, I took golf, and
welcome to
tennis.
a state school.
And those are, I think there were 2 or 3 credit classes each, so that adds into like my 160, I think. Yeah. But no, I mean it was a great experience. I mean, we were always one of the better teams.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good players and a lot of undercover good players, right?
For sure.
As a sophomore going in there, I was older than my junior classmates. I was older than some of my, younger. I was younger than, pretty much the youngest person there, right? The only true freshman they've had was Teddy Bluger back in 2012.
Yeah.
Another
They always bring in those older
Yeah.
guys. It's like that, the stat from last year or the year before, that Mankato's average age on their team when they were number one all year was older than the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
It's kind of pretty cool. I mean,
we went to BU my sophomore year, and we played them. And BU is another one of those powerhouse schools that brings in like the Jack Eichels at 17 years old, right? We did our average age. It was like 22 and a half, which is just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, how are you that old and still in college?
Yeah.
And then the average age of BU was like, I don't know, 18, like literally like the youngest people.
Oh, yeah.
And we won. We swept them because I think we were just older. But no, so there's a lot older, more mature group there. In terms of like playing hockey in the crowd, the Verizon Wireless Center is great. The facility they have there, David Backus had just dumped in a bunch of money into our workout room. Well, you guys get that like every 4 years at North Dakota, but
I've been meaning to give back.
Once we start making that money,
Next time.
We'll rely on those other guys to do that.
But no, I mean, everything there was great. I mean, I talked about hockey, but the nightlife there too was phenomenal.
So what were the top 5 bars?
South Street Saloon is the number one. Aaron Esser was one of the bartenders there.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who Aaron Esser is, but he was a bartender at South Street. And
I was going to say, is Aaron
he's
boy
a legend?
Or girl? Like,
no, he is a legend, and he would let the guys and the busy nights get behind the bar and make their own drinks.
You got to find that spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'd let us go down to the basement and where the bottles and the cases of beer hadn't even been opened yet. And we would just run down there and grab that shit and we'd go upstairs and fuck around.
It's like a little Bonzers action at North Dakota. You're walking around and no, I'm not getting paid to be a bartender, but I am tonight.
So South Street was a number one in my generation, my year. Blue Bricks was right across the street. So Mankato's got this little tight-knit downtown, okay? Within a half mile, you can go to like 8 different bars. So Blue Bricks was probably number 2. It's funny because Blue Bricks, and then the other one was Red Rocks. So you got Blue Bricks
Red Rocks. Okay.
Red Rocks was more of like, all right, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to go over to Red Rocks.
That was your closer?
That was kind of the closer.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it had actually very recently transferred over to Basement Bar, which is pretty much downstairs, almost like directly underneath the Verizon Center. There was a bartender that used to work at South Street, made his way over to Basement Bar. So like a year or two after me, that's where they started going, was Basement Bar. God, I'm trying to think of anywhere else. But
What's that place?
four.
What's that place you guys all lived, like College Station, or wasn't there like
so
a
it's called College Town? It's
College
just a bunch
Town.
of twin homes put up right next to each other with a little like community area and a pool and stuff. And then the same developers actually bought land right across the street from College Town, called it the Quarters, and they put up more apartment type things with a big clubhouse with a golf simulator and all this nonsense in a pool. So if you're in Quarters or Clubhouse, you walk across the street and you're in the same area.
That's pretty sweet. I've never heard anything bad about Mankato.
No.
The guys that go there, they all love it.
They all love it. And they're always good.
It's funny. It's funny. The whole conversation about Mankato has pretty much been about going out and enjoying college life.
Well, that's what college is. I mean, none of us, I always joke about this with my parents. Like, I talked to my dad. He played football at UMD. And I talked to just talk to older people about it. And they're like, yeah, what are your memories about college? And I'm like, you think about it and you're like, I don't really, I have plenty of memories, but a lot of them are not hockey related. Like most of them are not hockey related at all. Like most of my memories are from outside of the rink, like not even playing hockey.
Yeah, I think God, I get a lot of feedback for this show. Like I've had a lot of friends and whatever tune in and they just love hearing the stories, not so much the hockey side of it. Obviously that's great and it's informational and all that.
But it's like hockey again, like it's all standard. You get the puck deep.
Yeah.
You shoot it, you put pucks on net, you score a goal, you win. Yeah. That's all you know, and then you go have yourself a time, and that's where the memories are made.
Yes.
We could sit here and talk about every hockey game and how we got pucks.
Yeah.
Right? We got our stick on the puck.
But we all know there's these little memories sitting right back here. It's like, oh God, that night shut down JB's. I took Joseph for 400 at the blackjack table.
The only time I ever made my way up to North Dakota was
Springfest,
my junior year of college. It should have been your senior year.
2017.
You had shoulder surgery because your season ended, and you had to get surgery afterwards to fix yourself. And that was a hell of a time. I went to Joe Black's, lost $50, and I thought I was gonna die.
Oh yeah. You're in college, you lose $50. It's like
imagine winning 400.
But you just go to the next guy and be like, "Hey man, can I borrow 20?" They all get it. They're like, "Yeah, go ahead, man. You'll never see him again."
Just ask a random person. No, I'll get you back. What's your Venmo? Oh, Venmo's not a thing right now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Give me 20. But there's good stuff about Mankato. What I wanted to get into in this episode, and I want to kind of like, it's a little, what Clint and I are up to now, why Clint's here, what we've been up to in the past few years. So Clint and I retired from hockey at the same time, same age, and then we're both had summer jobs and, kind of feeling out the workforce. Like, what do? We don't have any experience. And, we actually happened to start a moving company called Mini Movers, and we're at 2.5 years now. And, it's been a fun ride, and Clint and I are with each other every day. You could say, if we're not married, we don't have girlfriends right now, but, we kind of are married together. We're with each other.
You guys are invested.
We have kids too. It's called employees, and they're all shitheads. So we love that.
I'll take over now. When I saw the itinerary for tonight, I saw Mini Movers right down at the bottom.
You didn't like it?
And I was like, these guys want free publicity. They do. They want to come on here, and I understand. Hey,
we're cheap.
I get it.
We're cheap. We save money on advertising and marketing, and we find different ways to do it.
I get it. You guys are smart because we're going to talk about it.
When it comes to marketing, you have to stretch every dollar that you put into it.
Yep.
And we don't even have a dollar to stretch to put into this one. So
that's fair.
It's a great,
you guys took advantage of this. I'm going to quick shout out Chill Boys.
Chill Boys, thanks for the underwear, socks, long johns.
Thanks, guys. I wear them too.
Really good stuff. I only shout them out because they reached out to us, and you just threw this on me like 2 hours ago.
Oh, you didn't know we were going to talk about this?
Not until Gage sent it to me. I saw Mini Movers. I was like, shame on you guys, but also nice, valuable play.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mini Movers, moving company. You guys started up by yourselves. Where did that idea originate from? You know, was it a combined effort or was it...
Well,
do you actually... I get this question all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually think it takes a combined effort to come up with the idea of moving shit?
Well, yes, because, okay, I understand there's fucking moving companies out there, right? But, like, somebody has to be like, hey, why don't we start our own? Why don't we...
So here's the deal. I'll go into the story a little bit because I've told this story, and it's a good story. I mean, it's kind of funny. So Clint and I have these jobs, both not going to be our careers. I'm interviewing for other jobs. You know, summer ends. We both had summer jobs. Clint was selling cars. I was working for a mechanical engineering company at the time.
Excuse you?
I'm not an engineer, but
Please tell me you were doing the root work. Like what?
Oh, I was doing the brew work
Okay.
for sure.
I was
But
gonna
anyways,
say,
so
let's check that
Clint
fucking-
has this job lined up, he's kind of invested in this. He's going to sell, you know, packaging material, try to do that thing. Because Clint's always kind of been a salesman. His dad was a salesman. He's good at it. He wanted to get out. He wanted to get some experience in there. And it kind of fell through in my job. The interviews I was going to, the job offers I was getting, we weren't really invested in. And I was actually living with Clint at his house in Golden Valley. So we were always just talking about things, and I was always sending Clint like little podcasts and things to listen to that about starting your own business, because we both knew we wanted to start our own business at some point. We just didn't know what it was. And then it was one night we were like, Clint had like a plumber or electrician come over or whatever, and they showed up in like some Denali pickup truck, and you know, they're doing well, and we're like,
what happened? Well, my basement flooded.
Yeah,
so I call some guy that knows how to like a contract.
Yeah.
Guy pulls up in a brand new like 1-ton Denali, like shining, just $80,000 pickup truck. It's like, how the fuck is this guy driving this? He's coming to my house and tell me how to fix things.
Guy's a
He's not
fucking
even gonna fix it
contractor.
himself,
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that's what happened.
yeah. So then Clint brings up we're talking to Clint's dad. And Clint's dad's a very smart businessman. You know, he did very well for himself in the business world. So we're asking our dads, and my dad's also in the business world. So we're asking our dads, like, why is this guy driving a $80,000 pickup truck? And they're like, you know what, there's just a shortage of, you know, labor workers out there, and the people don't want to do this stuff. They want to be a account manager for Amazon or whatever it is.
Let's be easy on account managers right now.
Yeah.
Boys.
But your title's a little cooler than us going around telling people we're movers.
Oh, the first 6 months we were doing it, and we'd have to tell people, like, you know, we're going out and meeting people, and they're like, what do you do? Well,
I move shit.
Yeah. So anyway,
I move boxes and couches.
yeah. So we're having beers one night, and we're like, these contractors are making money. Like, what? Our whole lives we've both dedicated, and you did too, to hockey. Like, you don't really work jobs. You don't think about the outside world when you're playing hockey, especially D1, because you all think, you know, you have in your head that you're going to make it pro and do all these things. And that's what we try to do. And we didn't have any experience doing things, and we didn't want these jobs that were being offered to us. So Clint and I are sitting down having beers one night, and we're just like, what can we do, you know, to make some money in the meantime? What kind of experience do we have? What can we do? I don't know. We got nothing. We got no fucking experience. We can't do anything.
We don't know anything.
And then Clint's like going through his dad had dealerships, and he's going through his auction site, and he's like, oh, you know, there's some box. Look at this truck. I mean, we can fucking pick furniture up and move it. I mean, that sounds pretty simple. I mean, we don't need any experience to do that. So we literally just bought a box truck from Flint, Michigan. We drove out to Flint, Michigan, drove the box truck back, and that was the point where it was like, you're laying,
you're invested now.
Yeah, you're laying in bed at night, and you're like, oh my God, this sucks. I want to back out.
Midday when we're sitting here talking about like, okay, how are we going to find customers? Like, what are we going to do here? We like midday, we'd have to like go on a run together because our heads were so twisted in a knot that we didn't know where to go from there.
We didn't know how to get customers, how to let people know that we were moving. And we're like, we have to do this. I mean, we bought a fucking box truck. I mean, we can't go back now. I mean, we got to try to do it.
I think we actually sat down and came up with like some detailed business plan. Like, no, we didn't.
Okay.
We
so this leads to my next question. That's very fucking informational. Seriously, because I've had people reach out to me, players that are still playing right now, scared. They're like,
as we were. I mean, everyone's scared.
And that's
you don't know what you're going to do.
You guys just jumped full. You guys just went for it. You're like, we're going to go get this truck in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, no, it was totally. Go ahead.
So what's your message to hockey players or baseball players or any of those people
that's just going to turn into a has-been?
Yes.
Right.
You know, they're thinking about calling it quits. What's the mentality? How do you jump into that and be like, hey, life is going to be okay. How do I make this my next adventure?
I'll speak first and say my number one thing is, one, it's always important to do what you enjoy. Okay. You might think it's crazy, but Gage and I,
we don't love moving.
Yeah.
But
we enjoy what we're doing every day. Okay.
It's great.
Taking care of clients, finding jobs, scheduling the guys. Like, it all sounds like tasks, but at the same time, which leads me to my second point, is it's a selfish point. You're doing it for yourself.
Yep.
Okay. When you come out of, a high-end hockey career, right? Like you've played at high levels, you've developed a really good work ethic. Okay. You can listen to coaches. Okay, they've formed you into who you are now. You've competed at a high level. You've sacrificed things. Why would you do that again in the real world for somebody else? Okay, my advice would be to do something you enjoy and do it for yourself.
And if not, I mean, also that point, obviously that's what makes it easier. But it's like just doing something that you're passionate about makes such a big difference. That's the thing is like Clint and I aren't passionate about picking up boxes and moving them, but it's just something, like we started and we're teaching guys to do. And it's just so fun. Like the strategies you come up with and the game plans and like all the stuff that goes into it in the back end. Like the moving part is actually the funnest part. I mean, you actually get to the job. You don't do anything, but you get to work, and it's fun.
It's like in a game. You're in the
it's
zone.
It's like
you dial it in.
And I was going to get into that. It's like, like I was going to ask you guys, like, do you guys carry anything from hockey into the real world? And I'm like, I'm lacing up my right boot first.
Yeah.
Like I did in hockey.
Yeah.
And if I have a bad game or a bad move or whatever, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to fucking lace up my left boot first because I got some superstition. Like I was bad because I had the right boot on first, like it's that little shit like that you just bring with you. And like that makes it kind of fun.
Yeah. At any point, did you guys struggle in that transition?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at any point, did you, like, think, gosh, I dedicated my life to this one thing.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next? You talked a little bit about it before, but how is that transition? Everybody kind of goes through it when you play a sport your entire life.
I think when you grow up playing hockey and you play at high levels, like, you're... like when you go out in public or you meet your parents' friends and you meet friends and you meet other people and you're playing hockey and they're asking you like, oh, yeah, what do you do? And you're like, you kind of puff your chest out a little bit like, I'm a hockey player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool to say. And it's like you go to the bars or whatever, you go out in public, people are asking, oh, yeah, what are you up to? Well, I'm a hockey player. And you feel cool.
Yeah.
And that biggest transition from that for me was I'm not a hockey player anymore. So people are asking me, oh, yeah, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a mover. It's not as cool. It's not fucking as cool.
But you got to own it, right?
But you own it, and it's part of like I read this book. It's called, what's it called? It's fucking. It's the art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
The art of not giving a fuck.
Okay.
And that's literally what it is. You can't care what other people think because.
The more you care, the more.
Why would you care what other? Why would you care if? Yeah.
The more you try to hide from it.
Yep.
What's the point of caring if it's something that doesn't matter?
Exactly. And why would I care if people are like, I tell people, I started a moving company. Right when we started, it was just us two, and
Embarrassing.
it was terrible. Like I remember telling my friends, my family, and they're like, "Oh, okay, Jesus, Gage is going through a midlife crisis."
But
Holy
okay,
shit.
the hockey players might think that, but the professionals, the real world, they're like, good for these guys.
Yeah, no, the
You know
older
what I'm
people
saying?
respect it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But as you have that hockey mind where it's like, what are my teammates going to think? I called her quits
100%.
and now I'm going to start this. Like, but then everybody else is like, fuck, you guys are going to kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you do have just invest in it, and it's like
You
it's
just
right
gotta,
there for you.
You just got to brush off the the negative thoughts and comments and people making fun of you. And
there's a saying out there that's like, okay, first people are going to look at you and they're going to laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the first 6 months to a year that we were at. Okay. Like we would tell people and they would
ridiculous.
be like, okay.
Good luck.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you start working at it, you start growing it, you put in that time, and then they look at it and they're like, wow, good for them. Okay. Then they like start asking you questions. And then at some point they start coming up to you and asking for opportunities.
Yeah.
They ask for jobs.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a phase where you kind of have to swallow your pride. Okay.
100%.
How many times has someone told you to swallow your pride?
Yeah.
Okay. When you quit hockey, when you quit baseball, when you become a has-been, just swallow your pride. And
You have to
start
swallow it.
with something that you enjoy and turn it into something that people want to be a part of.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's a very good point.
And it's great for us because like what I miss about hockey, and I'm sure you guys miss about hockey the most, is not the games. It's the locker room atmosphere. You go in for practice. You sit in the locker room. You sit in the locker room before practice. Everyone's shooting the shit. You get in there after practice. Everyone's shooting the shit every day. That's the best part about hockey for me. And it's kind of something we've created with mini movers. We have movers coming in the morning, and there's inside jokes between everyone, and it's a little locker room feel. Like guys are making fun of each other in the morning, and then after the day, you're making fun of each other. It's the locker room again, and it's just it's a great feeling. Like obviously you miss hockey, but yeah.
Bad when all of our movers would come back from a job and just get in their car and go home.
Yeah.
It's like, hey fuckers,
Yeah.
practice is over. Let's sit in the warehouse and hang out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all this shit.
Why don't these guys want to stick around with us and hang out? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
That's part of building a culture too, right?
And
that's what people
that
wanna be
was
a part of.
absolutely, because that was my next question. Like we've talked about it before, the camaraderie. Once you're done with hockey, 95% of the people are like, God, I miss the locker room. I miss bullshit, and I miss just being around the guys. And I was going to ask, like, how do you guys implement that? These were your guys' thoughts when you were done with hockey. Is that something you guys do now? But you just answered that for me.
I mean, we didn't try to, but we essentially tried to recreate the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we wanted to do. And we want to have guys that like each other. And, you still go through, we've got, at times we've had 13, 14 movers, and you go through times where it's like a team. Like some guys don't like each other and they're battling one week.
Sometimes you can't put one guy on and another guy in the same crew. They'll just sit there and fight the whole time.
Yeah, it's like setting a lineup.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't put this guy in the same lines. They don't work together well. It's like that kind of same thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's the way it worked out, and we're rolling with it now, and it's been fun. And
So what's your guys' end goal? Obviously, you guys started out. I have one truck. We're going to go out and get this thing. You brought it back and you started moving shit, and you guys have been growing pretty well. What's the end goal? Are you guys trying to get as many jobs as you can, like bringing through a kind of daily.
Yeah, this is a great time for me to hear Gage's, because I'm usually the one that's trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. So, Gage, take the spot. Here we go.
It's it's just like anything else. Like, I don't know. Like, we're a couple of guys. Like, there's people on Earth that they're content. They're content with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Us, with our nature and like how we grew up playing hockey, we always want to make it to the next level. Like, I can say it for Connor McDavid too, or those high end guys. Like, they're still like trying to make it to the next level. Like, everyone's trying to, like, they're not content with where they're at, and that's kind of how we are. And we're not really content with where we're at. And there's so many different avenues we can go down with what we have going. But that's the fun part, is like trying to figure out where we're going to go next. And obviously we have some plans on what we're going to do next and how to grow it. And last year, from our first year to last year, we've grown, twice as big, and you get addicted to that feeling, growing that much. And you want to have something when you go home at night to work towards in the future. 'Cause if you don't, then, I guess some people are content, but I don't think that way. So it's like, if I go home and stay the same as I was last week, I don't really feel good about myself. I can't go to sleep.
It comes down to the same exact thing as a young kid playing hockey and growing up. Okay?
Yeah.
You got to set yourself a goal. Okay. You got to reach that goal. When you get there, you got to have another one. If you don't have a goal set in place to reach, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. And it was us with our hockey career, right? Like, our dream was to go and play at the highest level. I don't know what stopped us, probably college, but other than that,
got a little distracted at college. But
we always had a goal, okay?
Yeah.
And, if you stop setting a goal for yourself, well, you're going to stop growing. You're going to stop pursuing.
You're going to stop caring about things,
stay stagnant. And when hockey's over and you didn't reach your goal, well, guess what? There's other goals to set.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what these people that are going to stop playing need to realize, is there's real life goals too.
Okay. That's fair enough. All right. A lot of deep questions there. I apologize.
Yeah.
You know me. I like to get on the sentimental side and see, what your
I liked it, though. I thought that was,
your value is. Are you guys going to go on Shark Tank?
We've thought about, we were actually putting together some PowerPoints to like get together to give a business pitch to Mark Cuban and Mr. Wonderful and those guys.
Yeah.
But maybe in a few years.
All right. That's fair enough. Imagine how scary that would be.
Oh my God. No.
Fuck that.
How would you do that out there?
Totally
I'm out.
reinvented the way of picking up a box. Let me show you how to do it, Mark.
No,
if
Mark.
you don't like the way I do it, then don't invest.
Yeah.
Talk to Mr. Wonderful.
No, Mark, most people pick them up like this, but we've found a new way that doesn't hurt the back as much.
So how do the people get a hold of you? How can they get their stuff moved? Obviously, you guys have a website. What is that?
Minimovers.com. We've got a phone number.
Direct messages.
651-460-9952.
Yep. Mini Movers is MINNEMOVERS.com. A lot of people mistake the way you spell mini, but it's the first 5 letters of Minnesota.
Okay.
Minimovers.com. You're going to call the phone number that Gage just talked to. You're going to get a hold of Lucy. Lucy's a sweetheart. She's the best there is.
All right.
And she's going to go through the whole process with you.
Love that.
Yep.
Repeat that number because I interrupted.
651-460-9952.
Okay, so they have their information out there. Feel free to follow Trevor Olson. Look me up on Twitter, Instagram. Trevor Olson 9 Instagram, Trevor 12 Olson Twitter. I'm just getting started.
Yeah. Go to YouTube and type in the guy at the state hockey tournament.
Yeah, with the horrible celebration that ended up fucking his team over.
Well, got it all the way. Great episode, guys. We went for quite a while, but Clint, thanks for coming on. Appreciate
thanks,
it,
guys. That was great.
Yeah, Clint, it was good to have you on. Nice, valuable chat with you.
And we'll see you guys next week.